The battlefield was silent now, but it was not a peaceful silence. It was heavy, almost alive, filled with the memory of screams, gunfire, and explosions. Smoke drifted like dark ghosts above the ruins. The ground was cracked and scorched black, littered with shattered weapons and broken machines. Here and there, small fires still burned, spitting sparks into gray morning sky. Daniel Hayes moved carefully through the wreckage, his boots crunching over twisted metal. He could still taste ash in the air, bitter and dry on his tongue. He had been running for hours during the battle, carrying the wounded, stopping the bleeding, dragging men out of fire. And now, when the fight was over, his job was not done. He was a medic, and medics searched until they were certain there was no one left save. His pistol was holstered, but his hand brushed against it with every step. The enemy was clever. Sometimes they left traps. Sometimes they pretended to be dead. Daniel knew that walking alone through this wasteland was dangerous. But he also knew that if even one soldier, human or alien, was still alive, he couldn't leave them. That was his oath. He stopped suddenly. A sound, faint, fragile, almost lost in the crackle of burning ruins. It was not the sound of a machine, not the groan of steel. It was a breath. Weak, ragged, human-like. Daniel crouched low and moved toward the source, heart pounding. His eyes scanned the shadows between two broken walls, his body tense and ready to draw his weapon. The smoke thinned for a moment, and then he saw her. She sat slumped against a jagged stone, her body covered in sleek silver armor that pulsed faintly with blue light. The plating was cracked, scorched in several places, and dark liquid leaked from beneath it. Her helmet was smooth and reflective, hiding her face completely. She looked like a statue left behind after the war. Daniel froze. An alien soldier. Every instinct told him to walk away. His orders were clear: no contact, no mercy. Aliens were enemies, dangerous and unpredictable. Saving one was against everything the military stood for. But then, as he watched, her chest rose and fell. Weak, shallow, she was alive. He stood there for a long moment, torn between duty and instinct. The smart thing to do was leave, report her location, move on. But the medic in him, the part of him that had spent his life fighting death one wound at a time, could not ignore her. He knelt beside her, laying down his kit. "Damn it," he muttered, pulling out his tools. "I must be crazy." Her armor was damaged enough to reveal glimpses of the body beneath. Not monstrous, not strange, almost human in shape. Blood leaked from deep cuts along her side, but it was not red. It shimmered faintly, glowing like liquid starlight. Daniel hesitated for only a second, then cleaned the wound and sealed it. His hands worked quickly, skillfully, almost on their own. Then a sound came from inside the helmet. A voice. "Why?" The word was weak, broken. "Why are you helping me?" Daniel froze, his tools still in his hand. The voice was not harsh or alien. It was soft, clear, almost melodic. "I'm a medic," he said after a pause. "That's what I do." There was silence. Then, slowly, the helmet turned toward him. The glowing visor reflected his tired face. For a moment, he thought he imagined it, but then the voice came again, softer this time. "You're not like the others." Her words cut into him, but before he could reply, her head slumped to the side. She had passed out again. Daniel stared at her, heart racing. He should leave. He should call for backup. But instead, he finished patching her wounds. He sat beside her until fires burned lower and the battlefield grew quiet. Hours later, as the first pale light of dawn broke through the smoke, something unexpected happened. The helmet gave a faint hiss. Tiny lines of light traced across its surface, unlocking. Daniel sat upright, startled. He had not touched it, yet it was opening on its own, perhaps reacting to her breathing or the warmth of the sun. The front of the helmet split, folding back with a soft click. Daniel's eyes widened as her face was revealed. Her skin was pale but alive, with a faint glow that seemed to catch the light of the rising sun. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises like deep oceans flecked with gold. Strands of silver hair spilled out, catching the light like threads of silk. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He had expected a monster, something terrifying, something alien, but instead, he found himself staring at a young woman of stunning, almost impossible beauty. She looked fragile, human-like, and yet otherworldly, as though she carried the stars within her. Her lips parted as she looked at him. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Daniel Hayes, a soldier who had seen more blood than beauty, sat frozen, completely speechless. And in that instant, he knew that nothing in his life would ever be the same again. The battlefield was quiet, but Daniel Hayes could not calm his heart. His eyes were still locked on the alien woman before him. Her helmet had fallen away, and the truth of her face glowed in the weak light of dawn. She looked nothing like the enemy he had imagined. Her skin was pale and luminous, smooth and soft, glowing faintly like it carried starlight within. Her silver hair framed her face like silk, and her deep blue eyes, speckled with gold, stared back at him with a mixture of exhaustion and something he could not name. Daniel swallowed hard. For years, he had been told that aliens were dangerous, heartless, and cruel. Yet here she was weak, wounded, and beautiful beyond reason. He should call his unit. He should hand her over. But he did not move. His instincts as a soldier screamed one thing, and his instincts as a medic screamed another. She tried to sit up, but her body trembled. Daniel quickly moved closer, pressing a hand gently against her shoulder. "Don't move. You're badly hurt." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "You saved me, human." The way she said it made Daniel pause. Human. The word carried weight, not insult. It was almost like she was speaking to something rare, something important. "I didn't save you," Daniel said. "I just stopped the bleeding." Her smile lingered, weak but genuine. "That is more than anyone else would have done, even among your kind." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" Her eyes lowered. For a long time, she didn't answer. Then she whispered, because they would not dare. He was about to ask more, but suddenly she winced in pain. Daniel quickly checked the wound on her side. The glowing blood had slowed, sealed by the foam he had applied. But she was weak. She needed rest, maybe more advanced care than he could provide here. "Who are you?" he asked softly. For the first time, her expression changed. Her gaze met his again, and in that moment, Daniel realized there was something powerful behind those eyes. Authority, pride, and an old kind of strength. "I am ckYeah," she said quietly. Her voice was steady, even though her body was not. "Daughter of the High Sovereign of the Allure Dominion." Daniel blinked. The words hit him like a physical blow. He knew that name. Everyone in the galaxy did. The Allure were one of humanity's strongest rivals, powerful, ancient, and proud. And their High Sovereign was feared across entire star systems. "You're a princess," he whispered. ckYeah tilted her head slightly, her hair catching the faint morning light. "That is the word your people would use." "Yes." Daniel sat back, stunned. Of all the people he could have stumbled across on this battlefield, it had to be her. Not just an enemy soldier, not just an alien. A princess. The weight of the situation pressed down on him like a mountain. If his superiors discovered this, they would take her immediately. She would be a hostage, a bargaining chip, a weapon of war. And Daniel would be rewarded for capturing her. But as he looked at her face, pale and tired, he felt something shift inside him. She wasn't a weapon. She wasn't a prize. She was just someone who needed help. ckYeah watched him closely, as if reading his thoughts. "You are troubled," she said softly. "You don't know the half of it," Daniel muttered. He rubbed a hand across his face. "If anyone finds you here, you'll be dead within the hour. My people won't spare you, not after what's happened in this war." Her expression turned somber. "And if my people find you here, alone with me, they will call you my captor, and they will kill you." The truth of her words hit hard. Both of them were trapped. Both of them were alive only because of chance, and now bound together by the secret of her survival. For a moment, neither spoke. The wind carried smoke across the battlefield, the smell of burned metal thick in the air. Finally, ckYeah's voice broke the silence. "Why did you not leave me?" Daniel looked at her, his jaw tight. "Because I'm a medic. I save lives, no matter whose they are." ckYeah tilted her head again, studying him. "Then you are different." Her words unsettled him. though he didn't know why. He was just doing his job, wasn't he? Solara's breathing grew weaker and her eyes fluttered. Daniel cursed under his breath. She needed more than he could give her here. His mind raced. He could risk carrying her back to camp, but if he did, she would be a prisoner. If he left her here, she would die. He was still debating when she reached out suddenly, her hand brushing his wrist. Her touch was warm, softer than he expected. "Daniel," she whispered. The sound of his name on her lips startled him. How do you know my name?" Her faint smile returned. "Your people shouted on the field. You saved many today." I remembered." Daniel felt something strange in his chest, something that tightened and softened at the same time. He looked down at her hand, delicate against his skin. "You can't stay here," he said firmly. "If anyone finds us, it's over. For both of us." Her eyes searched his. "Then help me, just a little longer, until I can stand again." Daniel hesitated, his thoughts colliding. Every choice seemed wrong. Yet as he looked at her, an enemy, a princess, a survivor, he knew he had already made his choice the moment he stopped to help her. He sighed, shaking his head. "You're going to get me killed." Her smile widened, faint but real. "Then we are already the same." Daniel blinked. "What do you mean?" "I was abandoned," Solara said softly. "Left to die. My guards fell. My ship destroyed. Even my own command retreated. But you," she studied him again, her eyes steady despite her weakness. "You stayed." The words settled between them like fire and ice. Daniel felt his throat tighten, his chest heavy. He didn't know what to say. He had not thought about why he stayed. He just had, and then she whispered something that made his blood run cold. "You saved me, Daniel Hayes. That choice will change everything." The silence that followed was crushing. Daniel stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. He had no idea how or why, but he believed her. The smoke on the battlefield began to fade, but Daniel Hayes knew the danger was only beginning. If patrols arrived, they would find them, human or alien. Either side meant death. Solara lay against the broken shell of a war machine, her breathing shallow but steady. Daniel had patched her wounds as best as he could, but she was weak. Too weak to walk far. Daniel crouched, listening to the silence. His training told him what came next. Scouts. First the drones, and the soldiers. He needed to move. He turned back to Solara. "Can you stand?" Her eyes opened slowly. The faint glow of her skin dimmed with fatigue. She tried to push herself up, but her arms trembled. Daniel caught her before she fell. "No," she whispered. "Not yet." Daniel swore under his breath. He had two choices: leave her behind and save himself, or take the risk and carry her. The choice should have been easy. A soldier would walk away. A medic, maybe not. But Daniel wasn't just either of those anymore. Not after seeing her face. He slid his arms under her, lifting her as gently as he could. She was light, far lighter than he expected, her frame delicate but strong in strange ways. Her head rested briefly against his chest. "You shouldn't," she murmured. "Save it," Daniel said quietly. "I've carried heavier packs." Her lips curved in the faintest smile, not one that talks back. Despite the danger, Daniel almost laughed. Almost. He moved quickly across the field, weaving between burnout machines and shattered stone. Every step felt louder than it should, every breath heavier. His ears strained for sound, boots, engines, the buzzing of drones. Then he heard it, a low hum, growing closer. He froze, pressing himself against the side of a ruined transport. A drone swept overhead, its searchlight scanning the wreckage. He tightened his hold on Solara, keeping her hidden against his chest. The beam of light slid across the battlefield, pausing too close for comfort. Daniel's heart pounded in his ears. Solara's hand touched his arm. She leaned close, whispering, "Stay still. It cannot sense us if we are calm." Her words confused him, but he obeyed. He held his breath, still as stone. The drone's light drifted past, hesitated, then moved on. The hum grew faint, and finally, silence returned. Daniel exhaled slowly. only realizing then how close they had been to discovery. "You knew it would work," he said softly. Solara's eyes met his. "Our machines sense life differently than yours. Heartbeats, not heat. You slowed yours. You didn't even realize it." Daniel shook his head. "Lucky guess." She smiled faintly. "No. Instinct." He didn't answer, but her words echoed in his mind as he moved again. Minutes passed like hours. The edge of the battlefield was near, a line of broken ridges, leading toward the wild forest beyond. If he could reach the trees, they might have a chance. But before he could take another step, voices carried across the ruins. Human voices. "Check over there," a soldier shouted. Daniel's chest tightened. His unit, his people. If they saw him with her, they would shoot her on sight, and maybe him too, once they realized what he was doing. Solara's eyes widened. "You're kind." Daniel nodded. "Stay quiet." He ducked into the hollow of a fallen structure, lowering her gently against the stone. Her breathing was shallow, but she met his gaze with steady eyes. "You cannot hide us forever," she whispered. "I don't need forever," Daniel said. "Just long enough to get you out of here." The crunch of boots grew closer. Daniel peeked through a crack in the wall. 3 soldiers were sweeping the area, rifles ready. One of them carried a scanner. Daniel knew that scanner. It would pick up the foam he had used on Solara's wound, a human med foam signature. His heart sank. He turned to her quickly. "We need to move. Now." She frowned. "I cannot." "You can," Daniel cut her off. "With me." He pulled her arm around his shoulder and lifted her to her feet. She stumbled, but leaned against him, her strength barely holding. Together, they moved along the wall, every step measured, every sound too loud. The soldiers closed in. The scanner beeped once. Daniel froze. His blood went cold. "Over there," one soldier shouted. Daniel cursed under his breath. He tightened his grip on Solara, then made his choice. Running. He sprinted, dragging her with him, weaving between wreckage. Shouts followed, boots pounding the ground. Bullets cracked against stone, sparks flying. Solara clung to him, her voice urgent. "Left!" Without hesitation, he turned left, ducking into a narrow passage between 2 collapsed war machines. More shots rang out, but the angle shielded them. They burst out the other side, and straight into another problem. 2 alien soldiers. Their armor gleamed black and silver. Their weapons raised in surprise as they spotted Daniel and Solara. Their glowing eyes widened, then narrowed. "Princess," one of them hissed in their tongue. Solara's body stiffened against Daniel's. Daniel didn't know what they said, but he knew the tone. He raised his rifle out of instinct, but Solara caught his arm. "Don't," she whispered. "They serve me." The 2 aliens froze. They looked at Solara, their eyes scanning her injuries, then glanced at Daniel with clear suspicion. The taller one stepped forward. "Why is a human carrying her?" Solara straightened weakly, her voice calm but sharp. "Because none of you did. He saved me. Without him, I would be dead." The soldiers hesitated, glancing at each other. Daniel's pulse thundered. He didn't lower his rifle. He didn't trust them. Not yet. Solara's hand touched his arm again. "Daniel," she said softly. "Trust me." Her voice disarmed him in a way he couldn't explain. Slowly, reluctantly, he lowered his weapon. The taller alien soldier bowed his head slightly. "Princess, what are your orders?" Solara's gaze flicked to Daniel, then back to them. "We move. Together. And he stays with me." The soldier's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. Instead, he turned, gesturing for them to follow. Daniel frowned. He didn't like this. He didn't like any of it. But with humans closing behind and aliens leading the way forward, he realized one thing. He was trapped between 2 worlds, and there was no turning back. Solara leaned against him, her voice a whisper only he could hear. "You see now, Daniel Hayes, the path has already begun." Daniel's jaw tightened. "And where does it end?" Her eyes glowed faintly as she whispered, "At the place where one human's choice changes the fate of 2 empires." Daniel's blood ran cold. The forest swallowed them whole. Tall black trees rose like towers, their twisted branches blocking out most of the sky. Strange glowing insects floated between the trunks, casting faint blue light over the shadows. Every sound echoed, every branch snapped, every breath. Daniel Hayes stayed alert, his rifle always within reach. He kept Celera close, steadying her when she stumbled. The alien soldiers walked ahead, their armor glinting faintly in the dim light. They moved with a kind of silent precision that made Daniel uneasy. He didn't trust them, not for a second. The taller soldier, the one who spoke earlier, turned his head slightly. His glowing eyes studied Daniel for a long moment before facing forward again. Daniel muttered under his breath, "Yeah, keep staring. I don't like you either." Celera, weak but still aware, leaned closer to him. "They are sworn to me, but they don't understand you." Daniel raised a brow. "Me? I'm just a medic who made the wrong choice." Her lips curved faintly. "Or the right one." Daniel shook his head. "Your soldiers don't see it that way." "Then they will learn," Celera whispered. They walked for what felt like hours. The forest grew thicker, the air colder. Daniel's instincts screamed at him. Humans were tracking them. He could feel it, the way a hunter senses danger without seeing it. Finally, they stopped in a small clearing. The alien soldiers set up a perimeter, scanning the area with their strange devices. Daniel lowered Celera onto a fallen log, checking her wound again. The foam was holding, but infection was setting in. He frowned. "You need proper care. If we don't clean this..." Celera touched his hand lightly, stopping him. "You worry too much." "That's my job," Daniel said, "keeping people alive." Her eyes softened, but before she could answer, the taller alien soldier approached. His voice was sharp. "Human, step away from her." Daniel stiffened. "Not happening." The soldier's hand moved to his weapon. "You will obey." Daniel rose slowly, standing between him and Celera. "If you want her to live, you'll let me do my job. Unless you'd rather carry her corpse back to your empire." The alien froze, his jaw tightening. Celera's voice cut through the tension. "Enough," she snapped, her tone carrying surprising strength. "He speaks truth. Without him, I would be dead. Do not question my choice again." The soldier bowed his head reluctantly, then stepped back. Daniel exhaled slowly, but his grip on his rifle remained firm. Celera watched him quietly. "You are brave to stand against them." "I'm not brave," Daniel muttered, "just stubborn." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then stubbornness may save us both." Night fell. The alien soldiers kept watch, their glowing eyes piercing the darkness. Daniel stayed awake too, sitting beside Celera. The silence stretched until she finally spoke. "You wonder why I wear the title of princess," she said softly. Daniel glanced at her. "It crossed my mind." "My people are old," Celera continued. "Our empire stretches across stars. But old empires grow weak, Daniel. Corrupt. My father fights to keep us united, but not all agree with him. Some want war, endless war. They sent me here to lead, to inspire. But instead, I fell." Daniel listened quietly. She had the voice of someone carrying weight far heavier than her slender frame. "You were abandoned," he said finally. "Yes," Celera admitted. Her eyes met his. "And then you came, a human, enemy of my people, and yet you carried me." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Celera said firmly. "Not anyone. Only you." Her words hung in the cold night air. Daniel didn't know how to answer, so he stayed silent. But before more could be said, a sharp sound broke the stillness. A branch snapped. Daniel raised his rifle instantly. The alien soldiers turned, weapons drawn. Shapes moved between the trees. Fast, precise. Daniel recognized the sound before he saw them. Human scouts. "Contact!" one of the alien soldiers growled. Gunfire erupted. Muzzle flashes lit the forest, echoing like thunder. Daniel dove, pulling Celera down behind the log. Bullets tore through bark, sparks flying from alien armor. The taller alien soldier shouted, "Princess, Stay down. Daniel's heart raced. He couldn't fire back at humans, not without crossing a line he could never return from. But if he didn't fight, Celera would die. So Lara's hand gripped his arm. Her voice was calm, even in chaos. Daniel, choose. The word cut deep. Choose. Between his people and her. Between loyalty and survival. Between the war he was born into and the strange bond pulling him toward her. Another burst of gunfire ripped through the clearing. One alien soldier fell, armor sparking as he hit the ground. The other roared, returning fire. Daniel's hands shook. His rifle felt heavy, too heavy. He glanced at Celera, her glowing eyes steady on him. She wasn't afraid. Not of death, not of him. He made his choice. Daniel rose from cover, rifle ready. He didn't aim at his fellow soldiers, not yet, but he fired into the trees above them, forcing them back, scattering their line. Go, he shouted to the aliens. Move her now. The taller soldier hesitated, but Solar's voice rang clear. Do as he says. Together. They pushed deeper into the forest, gunfire fading behind them. Daniel's chest heaved, his heart pounding. He had just betrayed his own kind. When they finally stopped, Celera turned to him, her face pale but her eyes burning with something fierce. You chose, she whispered. Daniel's throat was dry. Don't remind me. Celera reached out, her hand brushing his. It is only the beginning. Daniel pulled his hand away, staring into the shadows of the forest. He wasn't sure what scared him more, that she might be right, or that part of him wanted her to be. The forest thinned after hours of silent travel. The night sky revealed itself again, deep black, scattered with endless stars. Daniel's legs ached from carrying Celera when she grew too weak, but he refused to stop. Every shadow made him tense. Every breeze reminded him of human soldiers who might still be tracking them. Finally, the alien soldiers halted at the base of a rocky ridge. Strange carvings were etched into the stone, glowing faintly with blue lines. The taller alien pressed his hand against the pattern. With a deep rumble, a hidden passage opened, revealing a tunnel lit by soft, pulsing light. Inside, the soldier commanded. Daniel hesitated, gripping his rifle tighter. Where does it lead? Solara's voice was faint but steady. Safety. He followed, though his gut twisted. The tunnel closed behind them, cutting off the outside world. For the first time since the battlefield, Daniel felt the weight of no turning back. The passage widened into a chamber filled with alien technology, smooth walls alive with flowing light, tables of strange instruments, and tanks of shimmering liquid. The place was quiet, but not abandoned. More of Solara's people stood waiting. They wore robes instead of armor, their faces marked with faint glowing patterns. One of them stepped forward, older, his eyes bright with knowledge. He bowed his head to Celera. Princess, you live. The stars have not forsaken us. Celera gave a weak smile. Thanks to him. She motioned toward Daniel. Every eye turned to him. He shifted uneasily, feeling their stares press against his skin. He wasn't welcome here. The older alien studied him for a long moment. A human? Yes, Celera said firmly. My savior. The words hit Daniel harder than he expected. Savior. He wasn't used to being called that. He was just a medic, patching wounds, stopping bleeding. But the way she said it made it sound like more. The aliens led Celera away to tend her wounds with their strange glowing liquids. Daniel followed, but was stopped by the older one. She will recover, the elder said. You have done more than anyone expected. Daniel frowned. I didn't do it for your thanks. I did it because she needed help. The elder tilted his head, as though studying a puzzle, spoken like the one from the prophecy. Daniel blinked. What prophecy? The elder didn't answer immediately. He turned and motioned for Daniel to follow. Reluctantly, Daniel did. They entered a smaller chamber, the walls covered in glowing symbols. In the center, a crystal sphere floated, filled with shifting images of stars and battles. The elder spoke softly. Long ago, our seers foretold of a time when the princess would fall, alone, betrayed, near death, and when hope was lost, a human, of all beings, would lift her from the ashes. That human would not only save her life, but change the fate of 2 worlds. Daniel felt his stomach knot. You've got the wrong guy. I'm not some chosen hero. I'm just a medic. The elder smiled faintly. Perhaps a medic, is exactly what the stars intended. A healer, not a destroyer. Daniel turned away, running a hand through his hair. It was too much. Prophecy's destiny, chosen saviors. It sounded insane. He hadn't asked for any of this. He just couldn't let someone die. That was all. Before he could argue further, Celera appeared. She walked slowly, but stronger now, her wound sealed by alien methods Daniel didn't understand. Her silver hair glowed faintly in the chamber light, and her eyes found him immediately. "What did he tell you?" she asked. Daniel hesitated. "That I'm supposed to be part of some prophecy." Celera's gaze softened. "It is not just a story. I've known of it since I was a child. My tutors told me I would meet someone unlike anyone else. Someone who would see me not as a weapon, not as a title, but as me." Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, to push it away, but the way she looked at him, like he was more than a soldier, more than a medic, made it hard to speak. "I didn't save you because of prophecy," he said finally. "I saved you because you were dying. That's all." Celera stepped closer, her voice a whisper. "And yet you are here, in the heart of my people's secret refuge. Do you not see, Daniel? One choice brought you farther than orders ever could." He swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. Suddenly, a sharp alarm echoed through the chamber. The glowing walls pulsed red. The alien soldiers rushed in, weapons ready. The taller soldier barked. "They've found us. Humans are approaching." Daniel's heart sank. Of course they had tracked him. He was marked now, an enemy of his own kind. The elder's voice was urgent. "Princess, we must move deeper underground. They cannot be allowed to capture you." Celera turned to Daniel, her eyes fierce. "Come with me." Daniel froze. If he went with her now, he was truly lost his people, branded a traitor, hunted forever. But when he looked into her glowing eyes, filled with trust, he realized something terrifying. He already had made his choice. Gunfire shook the outer tunnels. Explosions rocked the walls. Daniel raised his rifle, standing between Celera and the chaos. "For what it's worth," he muttered, "I never wanted to be a prophecy." Celera's lips curved faintly. "Prophecy or not, you are mine now." The chamber shook again, dust falling from the ceiling. Daniel tightened his grip, adrenaline rushing through him. Whatever came next, he was no longer just a medic. He was something more. The walls shook with the force of explosions. Dust rained down from the stone ceiling as the hidden chamber lit red with alarms. Shouts and gunfire echoed through the tunnels. The human strike team had found them. Daniel Hayes braced himself, rifle tight against his shoulder. His chest felt like it was splitting apart. The sounds outside were familiar. His people's tactics, his people's weapons. He had marched with men who fired those same rifles, fought beside them, and now they were coming for him. Celera stood behind him, calm but pale, her silver hair catching the red light. Alien soldiers flanked her, their weapons humming with energy. The elder watched with quiet intensity, as if this moment had been written long before it happened. The taller alien soldier barked orders. "Form a line. Do not let them reach the princess." Daniel's hands shook. He wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to be standing shoulder to shoulder with aliens against his own kind. But as the first blast tore through the entrance, sending shards of stone flying, Daniel didn't run. He stayed. The humans stormed in, armored, precise, ruthless. Their rifles spat fire, bullets tearing into the walls. Alien energy blasts answered, sizzling blue streaks lighting up the dark. The chamber exploded with chaos. Daniel ducked behind cover, his mind screaming at him. "Don't shoot. Don't do it. These are your people." But then he heard Celera's cry. She had stumbled back as a round grazed a stone near her head. Instinct burned through doubt. Daniel rose, aimed and fired. The recoil slammed into his shoulder. A human soldier went down. For a heartbeat, everything froze inside him. He had just done it. Crossed a line. There was no going back now. Gunfire roared again, louder, closer. Daniel moved on instinct, dragging Celera behind thicker cover. He checked her quickly, no wounds this time. Relief washed over him, sharp and short. "Stay low," he shouted over the noise. She gripped his arm, eyes fierce. "Daniel, you must survive this. Not for me, for what comes after." "What comes after?" Daniel shouted back, firing again at advancing soldiers. "There won't be an after if we don't make it through tonight." The alien soldiers fought with unyielding precision, their energy weapons cutting through the humans. But the humans were disciplined, too, moving in squads, covering one another. It was only a matter of time before they overwhelmed the chamber. The elder raised a staff, symbols glowing bright across the walls. A barrier of shimmering blue energy sealed part of the tunnel, slowing the humans. "The stars grant us little time," he called out. Daniel's rifle clicked empty. He slammed in a new magazine with shaking hands. Every shot felt like betrayal, but every glance at Celera reminded him why he fired. She was the only reason he hadn't already been a corpse on the battlefield. Another blast shook the chamber. The barrier cracked. Human voices shouted orders. The taller alien soldier snarled. "We cannot hold them." Solara's voice rang out above the chaos. "Then we fall back." Daniel moved beside her, shielding her with his body as they retreated down another tunnel. The elder guided them, light from his staff illuminating the twisting path. The alien soldiers covered their escape, though one fell, cut down by a human bullet. His armor sparked, his body crumpling. Celera flinched but didn't stop moving. They stumbled into a narrower passage, the walls pressing close. Daniel's breath came ragged. His muscles ached. His ears rang from gunfire. Yet he pushed forward, Celera leaning on him when she faltered. Finally, they reached another chamber, smaller, darker, lined with strange machines humming softly. It felt older, more sacred. "This is the heart," the elder said. "If they take this place, they will learn secrets not meant for them." Celera turned to Daniel, her face pale but steady. "Then we cannot let them." Daniel swallowed hard. "What are you saying?" "That we fight here," she said simply. "Together." He stared at her, rifle heavy in his hands. He was a medic, not a soldier. Yet tonight, he was both. The humans burst into the chamber. The fight resumed, closer and deadlier. Daniel fired until his rifle grew hot, until his arms shook. He moved with Celera always at his side, their survival tied together. One soldier rushed close, blade flashing in the dim light. Daniel barely had time to raise his weapon. The blade swung, and then Solara's hand snapped up, glowing with strange energy. The soldier froze mid-strike, suspended in the air like a puppet. Her eyes blazed with light as she whispered words Daniel couldn't understand. With a sharp motion, the soldier flew backward, crashing into the wall and falling still. Daniel's eyes widened. "What the hell?" Celera turned to him, her chest heaving, her glow fading. "You will learn in time. But now fight." The battle raged on. The alien soldiers thinned, outnumbered. Daniel fought harder, pushing past exhaustion, past fear. He wasn't just fighting to save Celera anymore. He was fighting because he had already chosen his side. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, silence fell. The last of the humans retreated, dragging their wounded. The tunnels shook one last time as explosives collapsed part of the passage behind them. Daniel stood in the ruins of the chamber, sweat pouring down his face, his rifle shaking in his hands. Bodies lay around him, human and alien both. The stench of smoke and blood filled the air. Celera stood beside him, pale but unbroken. Her hand brushed his arm lightly, steadying him. "You have crossed the line," she said softly. Daniel let out a bitter laugh. "Yeah, no going back now." She looked into his eyes, her own glowing faintly even in exhaustion. Then forward, Daniel Hayes, always forward. The elder stepped forward, his staff dimming. The prophecy unfolds. Tonight, the human chose not his people, but his heart. Daniel wanted to argue, to deny it, but the truth was there in the ashes. He had chosen, and that choice had changed everything. He looked at Celera, and for the first time, he didn't feel lost. He felt bound. To her. To whatever future waited. The tunnels were quiet now, broken only by the drip of water and the faint crackle of burnt metal. Daniel Hayes leaned against the cold stone wall, his rifle limp in his hands. Every muscle in his body screamed with exhaustion, but he stayed alert. He couldn't afford to collapse. Not yet. Celera stood near him, her silver hair falling loose around her face. Her armor was scratched, her cheek bruised, but her eyes burned with a strange, quiet strength. She was still standing, still unbroken. The elder's staff cast a dim glow as he traced a circle in the dust with the tip. "The humans will regroup," he said, his voice weary. "They will come again, stronger." Daniel's stomach twisted. He had killed his own people tonight. Soldiers he once trained with, brothers in arms. He couldn't erase the image of one man's eyes staring back at him before he fell. That guilt would never leave. But when he looked at Celera, he knew he wouldn't undo his choice. Celera placed a hand gently on his arm. "You saved me, Daniel. More than once. You could have left, but you stayed." "I stayed because I couldn't let them take you," he admitted, his voice rough. "And now there's no going back." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Nor do I wish you to." The elder cleared his throat. "There is something you both must see." He pressed a sequence on the wall. Stone panels shifted, sliding open to reveal a hidden chamber. Inside, ancient machinery hummed softly, glowing with blue light older than either species. At the center stood a pedestal, and above it, suspended in energy, floated a crystal pulsing with faint light. Celera inhaled sharply. "The heart of Illuria." Daniel frowned. "What is it?" "A relic," Celera whispered, stepping closer. "Said to awaken only when two paths, two lives, become one. It is a bond between worlds." The elder nodded. "For centuries it has slept. Tonight it stirs." Daniel's throat tightened. The crystal pulsed brighter the closer Celera drew. When Daniel stepped beside her, it blazed with sudden light, filling the chamber with warmth. He shielded his eyes, heart hammering. "What's happening?" he demanded. Celera's voice was hushed, reverent. "It recognizes us. You and I." Daniel shook his head. "I don't understand. Why me? I'm just a medic. I'm nobody." Celera turned to him, her gaze steady. "You are the man who chose his heart over his orders. That is no small thing." The crystal flared once more, then slowly dimmed, settling into a steady glow. The elder bowed his head deeply. "The bond has been forged. From this day your fates are joined." Daniel felt the weight of those words. Fates joined. No way out now. He glanced at Celera. She didn't look afraid. She looked certain. Before he could speak, the ground shook violently. Distant explosions echoed through the tunnels. "They're coming again," Daniel muttered, tightening his grip on his rifle. Celera shook her head. "No, not this time. They will not find us here." She raised her hands, and the crystal's glow spread across the walls, weaving into patterns of light. The stone shifted again, sealing the entrance with a seamless barrier. The echoes of the battle above grew fainter until silence returned. Daniel blinked. "What did you do?" "Protected us," Celera said softly. The heart obeyed. The elder nodded with approval. "She is ready, and so is he." Daniel lowered his rifle slowly. "So, what now? Do we just hide forever?" Celera stepped closer, her eyes shining in the dim light. "No, we prepare. The humans will not stop, and my people cannot survive alone. But together," she reached out, her fingers brushing his hand. "Together we can change everything." Her touch was gentle, but it burned through him, steady and warm. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment, breathing in the truth. He had lost his old life, but maybe he had gained something greater. When he opened them, he met her gaze. "Then I'm with you, no matter what comes." Celera's smile was small, but it carried more power than any weapon. "And I with you, Daniel Hayes." The elder raised a staff. The crystal's glow reflected in his eyes. So it begins. The prophecy unfolds not in war, but in bond. A human heart and an alien spirit. The galaxy will never be the same. Daniel tightened his grip on Solara's hand. For the first time, he didn't feel torn between worlds. He felt like he belonged to both. Above them, the war raged on. But down here, in the quiet heart of the ancient chamber, something far stronger had begun. Not an end, a beginning.